Hey, good afternoon, Moms of Master Books. My name is Carrie Bailey. I am one of the moderators on Moms of Master Books, and just wanted to do a Moderator Monday for you today. I first want to just kind of tell you that my journey has been pretty much the scripture, Jeremiah 29:11, that God knows the plans that He has for us. He has plans to prosper us, not to harm us, plans to give us a hope in the future. And that's pretty much what has happened throughout homeschooling for me and my family. I used to be a public school teacher and have a lot of indoctrination that I'm still battling in my mind, trying to get over, trying to overcome. And then my oldest son, he just turned 12 in October. I sent him to public school, and I deeply regret that. We did not have a good experience. In second grade, it was very, very difficult for him. A lot of increased anxiety there. Some things that happened that should have never happened. And my husband and I were fighting for him. And we actually went to the school and talked with the principals, and it came to the point where I was like, you know what, if I have to, I'll just pull him in homeschooling. I'm qualified to do it. That's my degree. Yet at the same time, I really didn't have confidence in myself to do it. So what we did was switched him to a different public school here in our own town, which was next door to the other one. And then the next year, there was a lot of increased anxiety as well. And we would just have like awful days, honestly. He would get in the van and we would just say hello to him or whatever, and he would just completely lose it, where he's kept it together all day at school. He did really well in school. He wasn't like a behavior problem or anything like that, but it just was not a good experience. So at the end of his third grade year, I just decided that the Lord, I had been praying about it and praying about it and praying about it. We had a lot going on. We had just sold our home, and we were moving into a small about 700 square foot home, teeny tiny bathroom, only one bedroom that also had to be converted into a closet. So we were literally, me and my husband's bed, and the nursery basically was in the living room, and my boys shared the room. And so that was a lot of added stress while we built a home on our property. And then I did not know the amount of stress that the school and everything that had went on had actually had on my son. And he's already has a tendency to be a worrier. And so it just added to it. November of 2016 is when I finally, it kind of all magnified, and I saw how the anxiety was like truly affecting him. When I first pulled him, though, I did a lot of research trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I did not do any deschooling. I didn't even know what that was. Didn't even know that I should do it. Now I wish someone would have said, hey, you should do that. But no one did. Excuse me. And so I decided, okay, if I'm going to teach this child grammar, I even went and looked at like state standards and things like that, because it's all I knew. And I thought, if I'm going to teach him grammar, then why not use the Bible? That's what people used to use years ago as their main textbook, so let's go to that. So when I began researching, that's when I actually found Elementary Bible and English Grammar by Master Books, and I ordered it for him. Again, not knowing the anxiety that this child had towards school and work, and ordered some different things. We did basically kind of like a box curriculum for everything else. My middle son would have started kindergarten at this time. Again, he was a younger 5-year-old, and coming from someone who used to teach kindergarten, I knew that boys aren't always as mature and ready. And so I quickly found out that he was not ready for the workload of what I thought kindergarten should be. And so I decided finally, you know what, this isn't worth it. I'll pull back and we'll see how he does later. I actually had ordered math lessons for a living education for him. He was doing pretty well with it. But then kind of hit a roadblock when we got to the place value, and I just decided he wasn't ready for it. So I kind of backed off and we just didn't do a ton, which was a very wise decision. My oldest son was struggling with math. There were lots of holes. It wasn't that he lacked intelligence or the ability to figure it out, but coming from the public school system and the way that he had been taught, there were just a lot of things that he had no earthly idea how to do. And so we kind of had to go backwards. So later, after about maybe a semester of trying to use that box curriculum, I think we were all a little bit miserable. And so I decided, forget all of this. I'll just write my own lesson plans. That again was another mistake on my part. And I tried to do like unit studies, which I think part of that we enjoy. But part of that was so much work on my part that I literally was doing nothing but trying to plan. And as a mom, you don't have time for that. I mean, it was a lot. So we also work in ministry at our church, and adding that, it's just a lot. So anyways, we actually had stopped using the English grammar course, mostly because of his anxiety with just everything was like out the wazoo. And I also became aware that he had had no grammar. So to start that course with really no intro to grammar wasn't a good decision either. And so we were kind of just figuring our way out. And after that semester, I was just so burnt out, honestly. And I wasn't even through my first year and I was just done. And I knew I couldn't send him back to school. That was not an option. And I didn't want my youngers to going to school either. So basically what I did was started researching. And I took this quiz that told me, that I'm a blend of unschooler and a blend of unit studies and a blend of Charlotte Mason. And so I was like, okay. So I started trying to research more, and I found this review or blog or something of this new curriculum that was out, and it was claimed to be a Christian curriculum. So we began that. Again, another mistake. I won't go into like all the gory details on my end on that, but basically we weren't even through a semester, and I started getting a bad feeling, and the Holy Spirit started nudging me that something wasn't right. We were also spending literally, and I'm not saying starting late, we would at least start 8:30, 9 o'clock every day, and we would take a break for lunch, but not a long break. And then we would come right back and do school until like 4:15. And you guys, that's insane. And we were frustrated. It increased his anxiety even more. We had no peace in our homeschool. And so I began praying about it and, trying to seek the Lord for direction on where I needed to go and what I needed to do. And if I cry, I apologize. But anyway, so after some praying about it and trying to figure out where we needed to go and what we needed to do, the Lord basically led me back to master books. I rethought, okay, what is working in our homeschool? And math lessons was working. And so I said, okay, if that's working for us right now, let me go back. I had joined Moms of Master Books on Facebook. I don't use Facebook for friends. I only use it for things like that. And so I went back to the Moms of Master Books page, and I see Carrie is watching, and started asking some questions. They had just recently redone writing Strands, and that was a good fit for my oldest son. And so I just started ordering. I ordered writing Strands. I threw everything else out the window. We got America's Story, and we started to enjoy learning again. My boys loved what they were learning in America's Story. At that time, we weren't really doing a lot of science or anything. This has been a year ago. And I just started, looking through master books. And when I first had started back in 2016, in the spring of that, they didn't have quite as much as they have now, or maybe it was just presented differently. And after going through some kits, I kind of was gun shy to a kit. And at that time, they had it all bundled. So basically what I did is I just got on there and I started looking through everything that they had. And because of the peace in our home, like this was a child, my oldest, he would literally I mean, I was having to sit there with him all day long. This wasn't that he was working on his own all day long. I'm having to sit there with him, try to help him. You know, there were things he was doing that I'm like, I don't even know. I've never done that before. And he's like, well, how are you going to teach me if you don't know? And I said, well, we're both going to learn together. And so there was just a lot going on that, you know, we needed to get rid of. It wasn't, even though it was touted as Christian, it was one of those labels that was put on it. And God and the Holy Spirit were talked about, but it was like they were talked about as, hey, I heard about this. But you could tell there was a disconnect and there was no relationship there. That the worldview of that curriculum was just not what we needed or where we wanted to be. And the Lord started opening my eyes. And when he did, I had been so defensive of that curriculum and trying to use it because I thought it was good and great. And then when the Lord started showing me, he showed me a little bit, enough to get me to stop using it. And then when I stopped using it, my eyes were opened even more to the indoctrination of things. And I still have dear friends using it. I just pray that the Lord opens their eyes as well. And then once we started using master books, it's been a complete change. I went from a child who couldn't sit and do any of his work on his own to, you guys, he's independent now. Like, there's rarely a time that he ever has to ask me for help. And he's doing so well. I actually am going to be adding even more to him. We do a zoology, the old master book zoology course. We do it in a group setting, and I'm actually teaching that, and some of our friends are in it with us. And you know, they love science so much that they both have even said, well, when are we doing science? And I'm like, well, we do. We, you know, do it at zoology class, and then they'll have a few activities during the week. And they're like, oh, well, you know, they want more. And so I'm like, okay. So I ordered God's Design for Life. And since we're doing zoology, we're actually doing the animals section right now along with it. And this spring, we're going to be doing the plant section along with it. And I kind of have a tendency to have to think outside of the box. That's probably why I was a miserable public school teacher, honestly, and burn out there after a few years as well. But all of this, the Lord has been leading us. And I believe back, I think it was May, that I was asked to become a moderator on the Moms of Master Books page. A little bit after that, I was, for whatever reason, decided, you know, I might need to look into the future for myself too. You know, what happens, you know, if we need extra money or something like that, what's something that I could do to help my family? And so I thought, well, I could even like teach courses online or something like that, but I would have to have a master's degree. So I looked into one of our state universities of getting my master's. And I was going to do something like, I don't know, curriculum planning or something, I can't remember. And it didn't matter what I wanted to do. When I called them and asked them about it, they called me back. And then they informed me that I was not in a public school system, and I wasn't teaching at the time. So therefore, I couldn't be in their course, which I thought was really funny. First of all, I was also very offended. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Here I have degrees, and you're going to tell me that I can't be in your program when I already have an education degree? And then I was also kind of amused that they wouldn't take my money. And I just thought that was kind of funny because I was like, well, okay, I guess you don't need money, so whatever. And so I kind of like was offended and started praying about it and was like, okay, God, not only was that door closed, but it's kind of slammed in my face. And so I just thought, well, that's not the direction I need to go. I'm not sure what I need to do or if I should even be, you know, worrying about any of that. And then after I had been a moderator for a little bit, Randy approached me one day and was like, hey, you have a degree in early childhood. And I was like, early childhood education, sorry. And I was like, yes. And he was like, well, what do you think about, you know, writing some new kindergarten curriculum? Because I had taught kindergarten. And they also had realized that I wasn't so stuck in a public school mindset, maybe. I do still struggle with it, but I also cringe a lot with a lot of what I see from the public school system, because I know it's not developmentally appropriate. It's not what's best for our kids. That's a whole other soapbox. But so after that, we kind of met up and decided, I talked with my family and prayed about it, and just felt like this was a door that the Lord had opened that I couldn't refuse to not go through it. It has been difficult. I have 3 boys, and as I say, they're kind of high maintenance. They're good boys, but they are a little bit high maintenance. And so that, and just the other things going on in my life, it has not been the easiest thing in the world. I applaud Kristen Pratt for writing as much as she does. No one should ever give her any criticism, because she does a fantastic job, and it is no joke to have to write things, especially with kids and being a mom and a job and all of that. Like, I don't know how she does it. She's just amazing. But I knew that before I started writing, that she was amazing. So I just want to say, I value the company, again, I'm going to cry, of Master Books, and their stance, and they're standing up for what's right in a world that just everyone throws it away. So anyways, I just wanted to say, like I said, the Lord knows what plans he has for us. For me, it has been a journey that I did not expect. If you would have told me a few years ago that I would be homeschooling my kids and that I would be writing a curriculum or anything like that, I would have never believed you. I would have laughed, actually. But it's amazing to see the journey that the Lord has and the plans that he has for us, and how it all comes out in the end, and that he gets the glory. I love Master Books. I love the company. I love the people. I've met them personally. They're really top notch. They really are. So that's my Master Books story. I would like to end on just praying for you guys. Know that I'm praying for you in this school year. Tomorrow is the first day of 2019, and I pray that you all are blessed in your homeschool, that this group continues to be an encouragement and a support to you, because that is the heart of this company. And we appreciate and value you all very much. Have a great day.